Welcome to Brothers-In-Flaw Sports. I am your host, Normie. We have our other host over here to the side of me, Cunado, and down below. You know him, you love him. The draft expert, Santana.
Oh, do I get to be draft expert?
Yeah, of course you do.
That's kind. That's kind of you.
Mr. Yeah, did all the
Just for today.
quarterbacks, throwing mechanics and everything, watching their tape.
I don't have anything else going on.
I know, right? It's just bored. But if y'all don't know, last week there was something pretty big that happened. The Stallions won very handily. Like, it was a pretty fun game. Oh yeah, that NFL draft thing, yeah, that happened too.
What was the final to the Stallions?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this.
The Stallions, it was like 30 something to 12, something like that. I mean, Adrian Martinez, I mean, he had over 100 yards passing, over 100 yards rushing. Like, they could not stop our rush at all.
What's going on there with the quarterback position? I feel like we've talked about this a couple of times over the past few weeks, but I mean, Corral's still there. Is he hurt, or is it just we've started leaning into the running ability of Martinez? Or
so first 2 weeks, they were splitting. They would do like get 2 possessions, and then the other one would come in for 2 possessions. So they were splitting it, but I thought that Holt or Skip was just saying, or doing like, hey, after that, then okay, each one of y'all will get a full game. You get to show what you can do. But actually, Skip actually did an interview where he was talking about it, and he said, look, when they both came in, I told them both they were going to get plenty of game film. So, and as long as they keep winning, like, I don't see a problem with it.
So it is just kind of back and forth as far as that
seems
goes.
to be working.
Yeah, because I think Corral is set to start this. Well, they haven't. I'm not sure if they set out their starting lineups yet or not. I think they usually do on Thursdays, but definitely by tomorrow. But I think Corral was set to start though.
Okay, well, hell yeah, that's a lot of fun. 2 quarterback system is not generally productive, but if they're making it work, let's make it work.
I was about to say, you got 2 damn good quarterbacks to do that with. I mean, there's teams out there that don't have one that's as good as either of them. Either one of them could start at any team. So, and with Skip behind it, I mean, he seems like he knows what he's doing and knows how to call the game for each one of them.
Well, I think honestly, that's the most interesting part about it is that they are not like similar style players. Like Corral's not unathletic or anything, but he is not the runner that Martinez is, and Martinez is not the passer, or at least in college was not the passer.
In college, he was not the passer. He made some beautiful throws. There was one in the end zone that Deion Kane just completely dropped. Like it was like that Robbie Ashford pass against Alabama that year. That one throw where you're like, holy shit, where has this been all year? And then he never did it again. But it was like one of those beautiful passes. Like, couldn't have put it anywhere better. I mean, right in the guy's hands, the defender couldn't get it. Right in the end zone, all the receiver had to do was catch the ball, and he dropped it.
Well, and to Martinez's credit, he has improved. Like the guy we saw at Nebraska versus the guy we saw at K-State, right?
Yeah.
Those were 2 different players.
Yeah.
And so the guy, like I remember watching K-State, and it's like Adrian Martinez, and I was like, that is not who I thought that was. So for I mean, he's taking steps, and good on him, good for him, good for us as Stallion people.
Yeah, I think Scott Frost really screwed him over and really screwed him up, especially in college, throwing him to the Wolves way too early, and he wasn't ready. And he'd have been better. He'd have definitely been better off, giving him a couple games, kind of sit behind, get the system more, get it down more, instead of just immediately throwing him out there. Yeah, especially as a brand new head coach, and you're going to start this true freshman. But yeah, he's definitely grown a lot, and he still has that motor. Because I think he averaged like 19 yards a carry. Something
And how do you feel about Corral? Like, what's he looked like? Because like I know him from Ole Miss, and I liked watching him play at Ole Miss. He's got plenty of arm talent. He's Kenyato and I were talking about him earlier today. Just that it's not like he doesn't have the physical gifts to play at the NFL.
I think he may be a better passer. I think Corral's problem, he seems to get really nervous. Like it takes him a second to kind of get into the game. Now, his one start that he did start, I mean, there was an hour and a half lightning delay. It was pouring ass down rain. I'm not gonna really take that one. That was kind of an outlier. But in the times he played before that, it really seemed like he needed a couple possessions to get going. But by the time like he was about to get going, then it was okay. Martinez is coming in for his possessions, because especially in that first game where it seemed like, okay, come on, dude, like these receivers are open. I know you can make these passes. Like I know you can do this. I've seen you do this before. But and then Martinez came in, and then Corral, he got hurt or something, got kind of nicked up a little bit. So Corral came in and then threw just this beautiful touchdown pass. I was like, that's the Matt Corral I remember. So I think it may have had something to do with like maybe just nerves. Just needs it needs a couple of possessions to kind of get into it.
He can be a rhythm guy. Like there's plenty of quarterbacks who are just rhythm players, which can be the downfall of what a 2-quarterback system would give you, is not allowing your rhythm guy to get into rhythm. But again, not complaining. It seems to be working. So.
Oh yeah, I know there are Stallions fans that are like Stallions. It's funny because I'm seeing a lot of the Alabama stuff in the Stallions that expecting to win type of stuff, that like expecting to go out there and score a touchdown every single play. Now I have been really, what I've been mainly critical of is their red zone offense, and like in the rain delay game, even before the rain delay, they fumbled the ball twice inside the 5 in that game. So that game should have never even been close to begin with.
Yeah, that was a rough watch, and yeah, it shouldn't have been close. Like it never should have gotten there. They should have been up. They should have been up what, like 17-0 before the other team really even had an opportunity. But
exactly, but they let them. They gave up those 2 fumbles. Then with the rain, the delay, and everything, like I think that's what kind of screwed them up. But hey, championship teams know how to face adversity and come out on top, and that's what they did that game. For damn sure.
They got Niners colors, and they fight through adversity like Niners. That's why we like them, right, guys?
Yep. They do it till. Never mind.
I knew as soon as
they do have all of those things.
As soon as I opened my mouth, I was like, "Oh man, I am setting up for a Super Bowl bust conversation."
Well, I was going to say up into the conference championship game.
Oy. All right. Anyway, enough of your Stallions talk. Let's move on.
All right. Like we said, had that big NFL draft.
I can understand why Normie might have he wanted to really hone in on the UFL.
Yeah, right.
Also, am I delaying on for you guys?
I think you may be delayed a little bit because I've said things and then you'll come in to talk, but somebody else is already talking.
Yeah, when I finish my sentences, both of you guys are pausing. I'm going to leave the studio real quick and come back in.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah, big delay.
I thought that's what was happening.
Yeah, I noticed
a little technical difficulty.
Yeah, I noticed he was being kind of quiet and had tried to come in a couple of times while we were already talking. So I figured that would be the case, especially since he was dealing with issues before we got into it.
Yeah. And I kept wondering, I was like, he's not that slow.
Not that slow, for sure.
Let's see.
Okay. Is that better?
I don't know. Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Okay.
Yeah, like when I say stuff and then like 2 seconds of silence, so like they are catching me way after I am done talking.
Like I was telling Santet, I was like, man, I know he's not that slow.
Sometimes, especially after today. It was a hot one out there, folks.
It definitely was. It when I was doing that my run, I mean, it was, and I can imagine. Yeah, I was only out there for like 30 minutes, so I can imagine y'all being out there all day. So,
It was
all right.
it was brutal at a couple of points. Oh, Kenyatta got shook up a little, but we're ready to roll.
Got to get in that heat swing.
Yep.
You better get ready because it's coming fast.
It's coming. We felt it today for sure. It is on its way.
And it's definitely early this year.
Yeah, no shit. We were talking about that today too. Like, it felt like it was going to be kind of mild, and then all of a sudden it went from being lovely, lovely days to
nice 75 days. Now it was 84 here.
Yeah, I didn't even check because why would I do that to myself?
Yeah. All right, and I also have.
I didn't even look at it. I just know I lost a lot of fluid.
I have our picks over here, so we can look at our picks first, if I can.
I think some of them went the way that we were thinking that they would go, and like obviously, very specifically, the Falcons did not go that way.
No, they did not. They did not. Well, I tried to. But yeah, first 3 picks we nailed.
Look at us go.
I know, right? Those were the hardest ones too.
I thought that we I thought we might have gotten those.
Screen by round. All right. So yeah, first 3 players we got. I think the first 4 we got. Yeah, first 4. Again, those were the first 4 that were pretty much touted all through the lying season. Wasn't much of a lying season this year though, was there?
There was some stuff about like in that top 4 that kind of got batted around. I think a lot of people expected maybe New England or Arizona to move out of those spots. But no, I mean, early on, there were some rumors that Caleb Williams wouldn't be number 1. But I think that after they traded Justin Fields, it was kind of like, okay, we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think that Washington was between Jaden Daniels and JJ McCarthy. I think a lot of people thought that it was Jaden Daniels and Drake May. I think that they made the wise decision going Jaden Daniels over McCarthy. But yeah, so no, I don't think that it was, overly full of lies, but there were some whispers.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out Atlanta was lying about knowing
everything.
What they're doing. Yeah.
About being competent.
Yeah.
Their draft room lied on their resumes.
Yeah, lied on their resumes. Exactly.
Oh man. But yeah, Caleb number 1 with Caleb Williams. Pretty much everybody knew that was happening.
Yeah. I mean, that's that huge, heavy Vegas favorite. I didn't think that there's any way that it wouldn't happen. If it was me, I would have actually had a pretty tough time between him and Jaden Daniels. I think Daniels can be every bit as good as Caleb in the next level, but we'll see. I don't think you could miss with either of those players, really. They're both great. I think Washington and the Bears. The Bears just had a good draft because then they get to pair Caleb with Roma Dunze, who is a super solid receiver. Plus, they've got Keenan Allen and DJ Moore and DeAndre Swift. So just a lot of weapons for a good young quarterback. Their defense was already solid. I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I mean, out of the Bears draft, the Dunze pick was my favorite between that and Caleb. Like, obviously, we all knew it was going to be Caleb. I think had they gone I think I said it on this show when we talked quarterbacks not too long ago that I thought Jaden Daniels was the more consistent player. But I mean, you watch Caleb Williams play, and he is Mahomes. Like the things he does with his arm is insane. Like I don't even think that somebody like Mahomes could do it. So yeah, and you pair him up. Not only do you pair him with the Dunze, and they've already brought in the guys they have, but it's also prepping for the future. Keenan Allen's only on a 1-year deal, so you give a pretty stout receiving core lineup between DJ and a Dunze when you have top 3 guys this year, and then even if you let Keenan walk next year, then you've backed yourself up. And they actually kind of remind me of each other, Adunze and Keenan Allen.
Well, and even with the Keenan Allen just being there 1 year, just that experience of having that just super experienced receiver, I think is going to help him in the long run for sure.
Well, and let's be honest with ourselves. Keenan Allen will probably not play the entire season, so
yeah,
he'll get the preseason with him.
Yeah, he'll get
camp.
Well, and again, I think that it's a great grouping, and I'm glad that they did that. I mean, you obviously Alt's off the board there, but I think that maybe before that happens, you're probably picking between adding a receiver into that room or going with protection for your young quarterback. But I mean, you had 3 guys at receiver, and not even bringing up Brock Bowers. You had 3 guys, 3 weapons that you are almost can't misses. I think that all 3 of the top receivers and Brock Bowers are can't misses. So whether you ended up with Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr. or Dunze, I think that you're going to be fine. So I thought that was, if you're ready to flip your offense, then flip your offense, and that's what they did. So
yeah, I've got them in my winners list. The only head scratcher is I didn't watch enough Iowa to know exactly how good their punting is. I watched enough Iowa to know that old Tory Taylor got a lot of work in this season, but a punter in the 4th, that was the only, and maybe it's not a head scratcher. Guy might light the world on fire as a punter. I don't know, but
yeah,
allegedly,
I know he's coming in with a lot of experience, a lot of game time.
Allegedly, Caleb texted him and said that he wasn't going to be punting there very often, which if he did say that, then okay, great. But that also could just be internet bullshit.
Could be. It's funny if he did say it. And after the 2 years that Tory Taylor's had at Iowa, he's probably like, good, my leg's tired.
Yeah, so he broke the single season punting record in 23. I mean, he was playing for Iowa. I mean, Iowa
he got plenty of opportunities.
A lot. Yeah.
Plenty of opportunities.
So, well, he had the most punts in the FBS in 2023, but still ranked 4th in average yards per punt.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's, from what I understood, again, I didn't watch Iowa because why the hell would you? But from everything that I've heard and read since the draft, it's like he's the punter in the draft. So now take him in the 4th. Now again, they only had like 5 picks. So when you have when you have a few picks like that, you just go and get the guys you want when you can get them. So.
And yeah, if he's on their board and they're afraid that, some other teams that are possibly punter needy will reach up and grab him,
as well.
I mean, they did QB, wide receiver, and offensive tackle. So, they already have some good weapons in place. Like I said, the defense is already pretty stout. And this, I guess is just another weapon for the defense. Field position is part of the games, but it's 3 phases.
Hey, Nick Saban always put stock in punters because he always had some good punters. There was a year or two where we couldn't find one, but before and after that, we had some good ones, and he always emphasized good punters. All right, let's see. Second pickup, we got Washington, Jalen Daniels. I think that's a great pick for them because
Agreed.
I know in the leading up, it was kind of between him and Drake May. I know it went back and forth. The reports went back and forth. Like it seemed like every other week it was like, oh, it's Daniels this week, and then the next week it's no. It's they're really high on May now, but maybe that was the lying of the lying season.
Could be a little subterfuge there. We won't know probably, at least not in the near future. Well, some of that stuff comes out, years down the road from whoever was in that draft room. But still, yeah, super athletic, very consistent, like Santana was saying. And once again, a team with a lot of weapons, young weapons already in place there.
A lot of weapons already in place. You have Cliff Kingsbury coming in, which I think that him and Jaden should fit together really well. I actually had Washington as in my winners list because you look at just your top 2 picks, you get a defensive tackle at 36 who was projected much higher, depending on, obviously what mocks you looked at. But looking at this draft, I'm also kind of hurt by it too. You get Luke McCaffrey at pick 100.
I thought that was a really good pick. Sneaky good pick.
A lot. Like he's got a lot of upside. He's as athletic as his brother is. He has not played receiver for very long. He moved from quarterback to receiver. So this draft hurt me because Adam Peters is now calling the shots over there, and he was our guy. And just looking at the draft, like looking at the list right now, you see picks. Brandon Coleman, tackle out of TCU at 67. Just some of these guys, like that are probably going to be around. And he got them late because that's what he and Lynch put together similar drafts in San Francisco. So I thought they filled a lot of needs, and then obviously got their quarterback for the future. So they are in my winners list for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I haven't seen them graded below a B plus and a lot of A's, A minus, maybe even some A pluses. I don't know, but yeah, I think they did a lot of good work there. And they just had a lot of capital. I mean,
they did. I mean, they had 3 picks in the second round.
Yeah.
Well, and I just overlooked Sainristil, the Michigan defensive back. Like that's a legit starting corner. Like that guy could come in and compete for reps, and they got him at pick 50. Like that's the type of stuff that Peters is going to bring Washington for a long time, or at least until John Lynch retires and we hire him back.
Next up, we had Drake May with the Patriots. Who else did they pick up?
Look, I like the pick of Drake May. I think that he's got a lot more upside, but also maybe a lower floor than some of these other guys. He does a lot of things really, really well. I called him when we talked pre-draft. He's Justin Herbert light. And he could develop in. I mean, he's athletic. He's got a great arm. Really likes throwing down the middle. So developmental, but I mean, if you want a quarterback, I mean, then you need a quarterback. They also pick up Joe Milton late in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar to the Robert Griffin and Kirk Cousins draft, where you just go ahead and fill. They needed to erase and start over with that quarterback room, and it looks like that's what they've done. Jalen Polk was a very productive receiver at Washington. I think that's a great pick. Javon Baker, watch out. That guy, like that dude, legit is like the fact that he fell so far and ended up, in New England. That's big for them. Watch out. We're going to be talking about Javon Baker in the future.
Mm-hmm. I do like the Joe Milton pick, but I don't. Maybe if he has a couple of years, maybe behind, working as the backup, maybe he can develop. Joe Milton's one of those that would thrive in the UFL and then go to the NFL kind of thing. I think he's one of those players. I don't know how well he'll do without getting, significant, like good playing time, good reps in the NFL, because I just don't think he's going to get that many. He just seems like, I mean, it is in the 6th round, throwing a 6th round flyer at him, I think it's a great pick. But just watching him play, I feel like he's one of those that he could go to the UFL and actually kind of get that transition from college to the pros and probably do a lot better. But
I 1,000%
he's not gonna be making near as much money
for sure. But I 1,000% agree with that take, because I could see where after camp, and I don't, who else is still on did Zappy stay? Because I mean, he'll probably
I think Zappy's still on there.
If Bailey Zappi's still on the roster, then he's probably not going to win the second job. Milton, that is, over Zappy. So yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all to see Milton here soon in a UFL jersey, and that probably would benefit him.
Haven't they said that they're comfortable moving forward with Jacoby Brissett?
Yeah, they have Brissett as well. He's actually listed. Yeah. He's listed as their starter right now.
And I think that they've pretty much indicated that unless something changes in camp or preseason or whatever, that they're rolling him day one, unless one of these guys just wow them.
Well, yeah, and I completely forgot about Brissett, so that just adds more. So we're not even talking.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, because at that point may not even win the second job over Zappy. So I think that's a great path, but great time to spend in camp this upcoming season for Milton, and maybe we'll see him in Birmingham here soon.
Well, it's a great organization to make connections with. You'll get a lot of vet presence on that team. Obviously, having Kraft on your side, like even if he doesn't make the final roster, Kraft seems to be, everybody loves him, at like the players that play for him and everything. So, yeah, if he doesn't make the final roster or doesn't get picked up by another team after that, maybe we'll see him in the UFL doing something, and then honing his skills and just getting NFL ready, because he's got all the gifts physically.
I think he does. Like, I think he just needs that extra little work, that extra meaningful snaps.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he could get there, but that's just one of those things. Yeah, I still just do not understand why they do. The NFL is just so guarded against stuff like that, of having the UFL kind of being their farm league kind of thing. NHL does it, baseball does it, basketball does it. Why the hell does the NFL not do that?
It seems like they're starting to come around a little bit.
But
that's what I was about to say. That I think that we may be heading to it, whether you call it a true farm system or not. There seems to be more openness to a relationship for the spring league, this particular spring league.
And they've got deals with 2-way contracts that both leagues are agreed to and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how many of them exist right now. I think me and Santana were talking about AJ McCarron is on one. Like, if he needs to, suit up, for an NFL team, he can.
I think in the UFL, I think it's written in their contracts. Once they get that opportunity, they can go. But usually they wait till the end of the season anyway, because by the season ends in June, and that's when training camp's about to start kicking off anyway. So, but I just remember them being so against the AAFL or something, that American Alliance Football League, and that's one of the reasons it folded. Because they were banking on okay, this kind of being a route for these players to get into the NFL, and the NFL was like, no, we're good. It's like, okay, well,
I mean, if you guys say so.
Yeah. So I hope for Milton and people like him that just need that. Well, like we were talking about earlier, Adrian Martinez, one of those guys that he just needed some extra good, competitive snaps under him, before he could actually make that leap. Matt Corral, same way, or he could go there and be a guy like Jordan Ta'amu, who does pretty good in the UFL, just never really did anything in the NFL. But he does all right in UFL. And he's still making football. He's still playing football. He's still making money. So guys like that could go that route as well. Like,
well, I'm hoping with the merger and the fact that the merger of the USFL with the XFL, so kind of not new ownership, but combined forces ownership, and some of that starts kind of greasing the wheels and making it at least somewhat of a farm system. I don't know how long or if that will happen at all, but it seems like they're slowly but surely moving in a better direction for that, and that's a good thing for both leagues.
For everybody, for us too.
Exactly.
yeah,
because it's better, just good football to watch.
Yep.
It's not if you don't make it, because I don't even know where to find CFL games, and that's another thing about the UFL
Canada,
having so much.
CFL games are in Canada.
Yeah, I should have known. But I know they air them sometimes. I've watched a couple on TV here and there, but I think that the fact that the UFL has much better television contracts now, not only is it good for NFL execs and stuff to be able to see them without leaving their couch or ordering tape or having scouts sent out there, they can just watch the game if they got a free second.
Yeah, and they're getting tape on these guys for free. Like, they don't have to go out and get it. They don't have to bring them into camp to try and see, well, maybe do they work out or not. This is free. You have zero. There's zero investment in that point.
And the viewership numbers seems to be doing good and steady so far. And that's, once again, benefit for everybody.
Well, and again, it's a good product. So, turns out that's all we were missing in spring football was for the games to be good and for the product to be good. And now it is. And so people pay attention.
Yep. 100%.
And every time I think about it, I always think about a guy like LeBron Ray. Was injured a lot in college. Never really got his, his season in college. Was part of the Patriots practice squad. Got cut from there and then got picked up mid-season from the Philadelphia Stars last year. And then ended up being on the roster of Carolina a whole year. So, just guys like that who, hey, he got his tape on, he got his film. And
just
was
a physical stud.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is a huge man. It's funny because I played football with his brother, his oldest brother, and his oldest brother was my size. And then the middle brother, he was a little bigger. He played he was an offensive lineman, a starter at Western Kentucky for I think he was a 3 or 4 year starter there.
I did not know that.
But yeah, that poor Gary. He was my size.
Hey, he was a sweetheart. I actually met him at Normie and my sister's wedding, and he was a very, very nice person. So, at least there's that. He's an endearing fellow to be around.
I always joke with him. I was like, yeah, your oldest brother was better than either one of you. He just didn't have the size, but he was a whole lot better. Oh, man. Let's see. Next up, we got Marvin Harrison Jr. Wide receiver. Went to Arizona.
It's one of my favorite picks in the draft overall. I know it's easy to say first round picks are the favorite picks, but I love pairing Marvin Harrison Jr. with Kyler.
Have you seen the memes?
Yeah, and I love them, and they crack me up. Yeah, they crack me up every time.
I actually haven't even seen them.
It's them walking next to each other, but all you can see is the top of Kyler's head.
Yeah, you see waist up on Marvin Harrison, and then it's just the little top of the head at the bottom of it.
It looks like the movie poster for Twins, Schwarzenegger and DeVito.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Arizona rounds out their first round picks. You had to go defense with your second pick. They go Darius Robinson. I think some people thought that was a stretch, but I basically like all Missouri defensive players these days.
Oh yeah, they're doing good.
adding Trey Benson from Florida State. I mean, it was between Benson and Brooks and Blake Corum for the top running back in the draft. So you get one of the top running backs in the draft at pick 66. Xavier Thomas, I mean, I thought that they did. Hey, UAB guy, didn't even see that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought Arizona had a really good draft. And for whatever reason, I know they're division rivals of my team and your team, Kenyatta, but like they're kind of like the cute little idiots, Like
they're a bugaboo more than a rival.
Right?
The lovable.
Yeah, they're lovable
losers.
bugaboos who I just didn't, as long as they're not playing San Francisco, then I'm okay when they I generally pull for them. And like I said, I've liked Kyler Murray since he was at Oklahoma and
always sing his praises.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of my favorite players to watch. Like that dude is just electric, and he's always been good when he's had a go-to guy. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is now that. So good job, Cards.
Once again, if nothing else, with that kind of draft capital they had coming in, I think that at least half of those guys are going to be, if not hits, add good depth. And then obviously at the top end, I agree. I think that they did well. They're on my list of winners.
All right. Next up, we got Joe Alt at number 5 going to the Bolts.
And that one's not shocking, but also, a lot of people were shocked. And then obviously in retrospect, everybody's like, well, it's Jim Harbaugh. And for a team that, was pretty wide receiver needy, and maybe they had a grade for a guy like Ladd McConkey toward, because they passed on to take Joe Alt. Obviously, you're passing on Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze, and not to mention Brock Bowers. But Harbaugh is a ground and pound guy. Like, he likes to run the rock. And Joe Alt, by all the experts' analysis, is, as far as an offensive tackle, is can't miss in this draft. And offensive tackles, well, I think it's actually guards and then offensive tackles and then centers are your most likely drafted positions to sign the second contract after the rookie deal is up. So they're very high percentage. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It makes sense for Jim Harbaugh. And
well, that was my thing. And I don't remember who I think I had the Chargers in our draft. I don't remember who I took, but it doesn't shock me that they didn't go receiver. I thought maybe you wanted to add a weapon in Brock Bowers, but it doesn't shock me that they went offensive line. It's not only Jim Harbaugh, it's Greg Roman. Like, we're going to line up and punch it down your throat. And they've done nothing but add running backs since he's gotten there. You guys know how I feel about McConkey. I think that he's going to be successful, but my God, had we taken him at 31, I would have lost my mind. So I think, he'll go in there, he'll contribute, he'll fit. And it's not like the guys they have on the roster already aren't like. I think that we're going to see steps taken by the other. Josh Palmer is more than likely your like number 3 at any other squad, but he's definitely gotten a lot of reps as your number 1 or number 2 because the other 2 bozos that have been there have been hurt. And I call them bozos, but Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are great. It's just they can legit not stay on the field as most Chargers are. Like, the Chargers just can't stay on the field. It sucks. It's happened since Phillip Rivers. Like, Phillip Rivers probably should have a Super Bowl or 2, but his best teams always got hurt, and they generally got hurt right before the playoffs. So it tracks. And
as much as I don't like the Chargers because there's only one team in LA in my mind, I always hate for the success to be derailed by uncontrollable things such as injuries.
Yeah,
and I never want any players injured.
It sucks. And then if you look at the rest of this draft too, like, speaking of the receiver, because that's what everybody wanted them to take at 5, you add Ladd, and then one of my favorite players in the draft, and I was really hoping San Francisco got him, Brendan Rice. Obviously, there's a reason that I would want him to go to San Francisco, but I also think that he's a real physical guy, and I think that it probably fits exactly what Harbaugh is probably thinking he wants out of a receiver. And then obviously he goes and gets his guy from Michigan and Cornelius Johnson. So it's not like they didn't fill needs. I don't know that tackle was necessarily a need, but again, Kenyatta, like you said, like, a sure bet, especially in a draft who like this draft was weak on offense. Weak is probably an inappropriate term. It was not front loaded and actually and just shallow. We'll go shallow.
Yeah. Well, I saw a lot of Joe Alt's clips, and he's not just like your big just tackle that he'll block a defensive end or something like that, pass blocking. He's a pulling tackle. Like you can run the counter with him effectively, and he can do it well.
Yeah, dude can move.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then the lad McConkey, I actually heard a lot of teams were wanting him in the second round.
That's where he belonged.
Because even like the Titans announcer, what's that guy's name? That crazy guy that
Game Titans.
Touchdown Titans.
Perfect. It's like I was listening to the local
Mike. No, it's not. All right, I can't think of his name. He was on with Cole Kubelik and Greg McElroy there, but he was disappointed that they weren't able to get him. That he did say that they did want Joe Alt, but that he was fine with what they ended up getting. But that they really wanted Joe Alt, and that they really wanted Lad McConkey as well.
Yeah, and again, I have nothing. Don't let my
your bias.
Like I didn't want him in San Francisco because what he brought to my team, like I just if we had traded back and taken him somewhere in the second, I've been like, taking him at 31. I've been like, come on, like I didn't. So nothing against McConkey. He's got great feet, obviously great hands. He's been at Georgia since like 1994. So he's
more athletic than you would think that he is.
Significantly more athletic than you would think he would be as far as numbers go. Tough kid. So I think that they got a good one. Like anybody that would have taken McConkey would have gotten a good one. I just think that the value at 34 versus the value at earlier in the first round is why I got so mad about so many, whether it was the Chiefs or us, or there were so many people mocking him in the first that I was just like, come on, like. And we'll come back around to this when we talk about the Niners draft too.
But even like he was even talking about like at first he wasn't really like he was thinking like really this guy he's like he's such a small guy, but then he was looking at his his measurements like wait a minute he kind of looks on the field like he's like 5'10", 5'9", 5'10".
He's playing with a bunch of other
but he's 6 foot. He's 6 foot tall. Like
6 foot and 180 according to what you got pulled up right there, and it's because he plays with a bunch of other elite NFL talent at Georgia, and that's one of the reasons that I didn't want him in the first round, because what can you really take away from tape when he's running around wide open and Georgia's able to lean on people, and I like him. I think he's going to be successful. It's just I didn't want him in the first.
You just didn't want him.
I mean, that really comes down to it, is that like I just what he brings to the offense. I don't think that that's something that we needed. And again, we'll get to my stuff here in a little bit, but.
All right. So next up, we got the New York Giants, who picked up Malik Neighbors,
which is the best that they possibly could do.
Honestly, yeah, I think so.
Just, I mean. When are we going to this has to be Daniel Jones's last year. This has to be, you can't. I think that they took Malik Neighbors going, we don't have a high enough grade on the quarterbacks available to jettison Daniel Jones.
And Joe Alt is already taken.
And Joe Alt is gone. So let's get Malik Neighbors, and then the guy that we draft next year at number 6, because we'll probably be somewhere around there, he can throw to Malik Neighbors.
And I mean, this could be the guy that actually kind of unlocks Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has a lot of talent. He's got some decision-making issues and whatnot. He's clearly incredibly athletic, but he hasn't had a weapon, like a true number one, basically his whole time there. I mean, when he does.
It won't matter, Kenyatta.
It might not. It might not. But
I think Dan Orlovsky said that he thinks that Drew Lock could actually beat out Daniel Jones in camp. So that would be
Wow.
something.
I've heard a little smoke to that fire myself, Santana. I would be not shocked, but surprised just because of Daniel Jones's deal. But this regime that's there in New York,
They got to start winning.
I'd say they better have some success on the field,
Yeah.
or otherwise,
Yeah.
when they're picking at number 6 or higher next year, there will be a whole different crew in the draft room.
I was gonna say, yeah, it won't be Brian DeBow or whatever his name is. Yeah, because even you don't think DeVito can beat him out? DeVito.
He had some good games, but then he had some games where it's like, oh yeah, that's why I never heard of you.
That's why. All right.
Just to round out the Giants, I actually did like their draft with Newbin and Andrew Phillips from Kentucky. I don't really know enough about Theo Johnson or the guys after that, but I do know about Newbin and Phillips. So your first 3 picks, I think you did a good job, got a lot of value for. So good job, G-Men.
For once. Next up, we got Tennessee. They picked up J.C. Latham.
How do you feel about that? I've heard some people think that was a reach, but I thought that, again, a front-loaded tackle class.
Yeah.
Like if you needed a tackle, you better get them early. And so, yes, Evan may have been a reach for Latham, but they needed him. So I don't know.
I honestly thought they were going to go Joe Alt, and if they didn't get Joe Alt, I think they would have went with Cugnato's thing of getting Dallas Turner and getting that edge. But they stuck with their offensive line, and honestly, I think he's a great pick there. I think he's going to do fine. He's going to be one of those guys that's there for a long time. As long as he, stays happy and wants to sign another deal with them, I think he'll be good. And then, with their second pick with Sweat, that's a steal in the second round.
He was somebody that I was hoping would fall somewhere to where San Francisco could make a play. But so yeah, I appreciate that pick also. Cedric Gray's played some ball that a lot of people are excited about. And again, I'll know most of these names after that, but the first 2 with Devondre Sweat and J.C. Latham were they nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they did pretty good. I haven't graded them or anything, but off the top of my head, I'd give it a solid B.
Real quick. Okay.
I liked, J.C. Latham anchor the offensive line. Go straight defense after that. Maybe play some bully ball. That you can, pound the rock already. You got a battering ram. And then, I was a little bit surprised. And I don't know what their wide receiver depth chart looks like right now. I thought that they might get somebody a little bit higher in the 6th round.
Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks.
Okay, it's pretty good in the top 2. Treylon Burks so far hasn't panned out.
Yeah, but you like the names. If you just look at it, without even thinking about what's on the field, you just look at the names.
Mm-hmm. With Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears as their running backs.
Yeah, so they were in a position to do that. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, okay. B+ maybe. I'd forgotten that they had gotten the 2 vets.
Mm. So they got a good one. Next up, we got.
Yeah, let's do it. Yay!
Oh, here we go.
We got Roma Dunze at number 9.
No. Let's do it. Let's get into it, bud.
This has got to be the dumbest pick I've ever not ever seen, but holy shit. That was definitely a surprise, and it was definitely a surprise for all. And I've looked at their Twitter whenever they made the pick and other things. Fans are pissed.
Yeah.
I'm not even that big of a fan of the Falcons, and I was pissed. I was like, really? This guy, number 8.
Well,
Like,
that's the thing too.
I think he's gonna pan out, but it's like this guy is one you need to like start like today. He's 24 already. You just signed Kirk Cousins to a 4-year deal, so he's gonna be 28 by the time Kirk Cousins is done.
180 million overall, 90 guaranteed.
Yeah, and if Kirk Cousins plays all 4 years of his deal, then he'll be at the end of his rookie contract, so you'll have to sign him.
Yeah. Or go and get another, or trade him away and get another pick. Like,
and also, Penix is also playing on 2 reconstructed knees. Like,
yes,
there were, and a lot of people had,
and both his shoulders have been hurt as well.
Me specifically had this guy second plus. You know, like,
yeah.
I mean, I made the comment that there were a lot of people call him the most accurate thrower in the draft, and I made the comment that I thought that his accuracy made him borderline undraftable. Can he be super accurate? Absolutely. Dude's got all the talent in the world and can put the ball wherever. He's all state out there. He can put the ball wherever he wants to. But consistency, like, I don't know. Like, I think that I don't know shit, but like a lot of people had him past the first round. And I think that if you get him in the first or past first round, then it's a win.
Yeah.
But you spent your 8th pick. You just spent all that money on a quarterback. You have an offense that is ready to go.
Yes.
Give the defense some help, which the defense is not terrible. Like, they need help, but they're not terrible. You take one of the premier pass rushers right there, it's a win. You try and add a weapon for, I mean, again, Adunze sitting there. I mean, just add another receiver. I don't know what you do, but you don't do whatever offensive lineman, trade back. I don't know. I don't know the answer, but this wasn't it. Yeah, if you really wanted it. Yeah, I don't know the overall answer. That wasn't it. But that, yeah. And sorry,
Dallas Turner would have went great right there.
Dallas Turner would have been beautiful right there. Latu would have been beautiful right there.
Yeah, either Latu would have been great too. Like, because they would have been worth throwing an eighth overall pick at. Like,
I think that the only team you had to be concerned that was going to take Penix would have been Las Vegas. So you can move back still ahead of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man.
It was a head scratcher. And hey, we might be eating our words. Is this Terry Fontenot's first year too? I know it's Raheem first year head coach there. Like, it will be his first year. Like, you know, is it the GM? Is that, I don't know if it doesn't really matter, but I
think so.
It's a funny way to start off the new era, the post Arthur Smith era.
See, and they just didn't, like, if they, and I was telling Kenyatta this earlier, you go and do that at 8 with Penix. If you come with the rest of the draft and land exactly what you need after that, which, I mean, they take some defensive ends and try and they just didn't do it right, Normie. Like, I got to tell you, like, I just, as somebody who has drafted 1 million Madden drafts, this was wrong.
Yeah, and
I do like Jason McClellan.
Yeah,
I love Jason McClellan, but he's not going to start this year, or he's not going to contribute like much other than like a depth piece. Like
that is no, and the only reason I like it is because I think that he's really talented, and they got him in the 6th, but not a need. Not like you said. Like,
and his name is Jason McClellan, which is just cool. I like good names.
Super cool name.
Which I will get to when we get to some of my other favorite picks down the road. Cool names, that is.
But they even I mean, even the fans were like pissed off about the second pick that they made, because they traded up to get there, and then they were like, one of them's like, yeah, they picked a guy that was like 3rd team All ACC in the 2nd round.
Yeah, and moved up to get him, and he may end up being great, but most of the experts that I've read said that they reached for that one too. So it's not like you turned around. It's like you can argue, and I've seen a lot of people argue, like, well, they're setting up for the future. It's, you know, they didn't want to get in the Matty Ice situation where they had one quarterback and then they had none. It's like, okay, guys, that's great, and I understand that, but there were names on this list, quarterback list, including Penix, in my opinion, that you could have gotten in the next round or the next round. Jordan Travis went to the Jets in what round, Kenyatta? I think he may have been a 6th rounder or something like that.
Late.
It was late, and Spencer Rattler goes to your division rival, the Saints. Like, a lot of people have him like ranked as a.
Oh.
What'd you just see?
I was just thinking about it. Notice it too. Sweat was still on the board when they made that pick. Sweat was still on the damn board because I was thinking, I was like, I know Sweat went 2nd round.
You pair Sweat and Grady Jarrett together.
How do you not just like immediately like, oh yeah, we want a defensive tackle. Oh, Sweat's still there. Okay, pull that trigger. No, let's trade up and get this guy that was.
They immediately heard all the shit after picking Penix. They're like, you should have picked a pass rusher, and they're like, all right, just whoever, throw a name. I don't care. We messed up.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know, man. We could all be eating our words in 4 years, but I thought Penix was mid in this draft. You take him in the 2nd or 3rd, and you're getting a hell of a deal. Hell, you take him later in the 1st. Like,
yeah.
Again, I think Las Vegas was your only concern. I think that Denver had Bo Nix pegged the whole time, so I really don't think that. I think that Minnesota had JJ McCarthy.
Minnesota had JJ. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think everybody had their guys. So as long as like Las Vegas doesn't take him, like that's really the only person you have to be concerned with, or only team you have to be concerned with.
But it'd be one of those things too, where it's like, hey, we'll wait till the 2nd round. If he's there, we'll get him 2nd round. If he's not, okay, we'll go for something else, like someone else.
Well, and I just think, exactly.
You don't need him.
You don't need him. You just spend a whole bunch of money. My biggest issue is not even the 4-year deal or the 180 overall. It's that like you guaranteed this guy $90 million, which Kirk Cousins, God bless him, keeps just being good enough to keep getting a shit. Like he has made a shit ton of money and has nothing as far as W's to show for it. Like now, would I have wanted Kirk Cousins over anybody else that the Falcons have had over the past? Yes, but would I want him on over anybody that has played for San Francisco recently? No, and that just is throwing out my team. But I don't know. Next year there will be somebody in the 2nd and 3rd round that will be a better option than Penix. You could have solved the issue that you think that you have later in this draft, later in next year's draft.
And it'll be someone who hasn't been injured as much and probably is a lot younger.
Yeah.
Well, if it's just about depth, like Santana was saying, there were so many other quarterbacks that are very capable, or at least in college they were. I think that they would be capable to at least back someone up. And as long as the system they run is, QB friendly, which the NFL seems to be getting more and more that way.
Is Heineke still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know.
You had a legit backup. Yeah, a lot of experience.
Plenty of experience.
Ritter's still there. Like you got a bunch of guys there who.
Ritter is not there.
Ritter's not there.
I think. Where'd he go? I know he went somewhere. He went to the Cardinals.
Okay.
I think they traded him to the Cardinals.
Okay.
But yeah, it's I mean, it's a top 10 pick. You can miss. They miss all the time, but you can't miss so bad to where everybody's like just asking like, wait, what the hell?
This
doesn't make any sense.
I scream value anytime we talk draft. Like, and that was the most wasted value. Maybe that's the thing. Was it the craziest or most shocking or worst pick that I've ever seen in the top 10 or the first round of the NFL draft? No, more than likely not. We'd have to go back and look because it's definitely way up there. But the waste of value that it was mind blowing to me.
And even in this, both their first 2 picks were that.
Yeah.
I mean, trading up and then you have Sweat on the board, but then you take this guy that, I mean, nothing against this guy. And like Kenyatta said, we could be eating our words. I've got a note on here though for like in 4 years, like Penix and then Sweat and this guy. Like,
I hope we're doing this for a long time, because I would like to point out every quarterback of the next 4 years that they would be in position to draft that will be more successful than Penix.
yeah.
So next year I'm going to start somewhere in the middle of the first round and be like, you could have gotten this guy, you could have gotten this guy, you could have gotten this guy, and just do that until Kirk Cousins is no longer there. And again, I don't want to get on Penix so hard, because this is not Penix's fault.
It's not. It's really not.
No, not trying to dog Penix at all. It's like you're talking about. It's just not a position of need at all.
Nope.
And it wasted value.
Yep.
Because you did need a lot of other things.
The NFC South is such a turnaround year to year. You are constantly trying to win the NFC South, like right now. I don't care how garbage you are, Carolina. You are trying to win the NFC South like right this second, no matter how bad you were, because that's just how that division works. Like every year there's going to be somebody different competing, especially now that Tom Brady's no longer there and Drew Brees is no longer there.
They rarely have repeat division winners.
Right. And so you could have taken, especially now that you've signed a quarterback, because quarterback was your issue, because you have weapons on the offense, especially now that Bijan's there. The offensive line is not great, but not terrible. The defensive front is not great, not terrible. Grady Jarrett's a great player. The secondary is not great, not terrible. If you added a premier pass rusher or another premier receiver or the best offensive lineman that you could have gotten, whatever the situation, or if you had in the second round added Sweat to add to that front, whatever the situation may be, again, just wasted value, just pissed it away.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got them marked down as my biggest loser.
Honestly, dude, I think that they're my only loser. Like,
yeah.
They're the ones that I look at their draft and I go, just what?
I've heard it described multiple times.
Wow.
31 fan bases are happy, and there's Falcons fans.
Falcons fans.
Oh, well, that meme I sent y'all. It's like there hadn't been this much controversy in around a draft since Vietnam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that was great.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, Normie.
What are you guys
once again,
doing?
Maybe we'll be eating our words in a few years. Only
Look,
time will tell. And it's
for
inaccurate science.
For Penix's sake, he does get to go and sit behind one of the more, I was going to say successful, seasoned, prolific, like dude puts up numbers. Kirk Cousins been around a while. He knows what's going on. So like this does fit well for what Penix has going on. And Raheem took one of your offensive guys for the OC, right? Can you Yeah, so
can't remember who, but yeah.
Quarterback friendly system, because he'll be running the McShanahan offense. And so yeah, for Penix, this works out great. Now it sucks because I think that another team could have taken him that would have wanted him to start this year in Las Vegas. But
and also they could have, Atlanta could have used that on someone that could start day one.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Thank God for the Stallions, Normie.
I know, right? That's some I guess I gotta have a team that's just, I'm an Alabama fan, Stallions fan. I gotta have one team. Well, I don't know. My NHL team really makes up for a brunt of that. The badness. The Sabres are pretty bad. They're getting better. They are pretty bad.
Yeah.
They're not last anymore. They're still not making playoffs, but they're not last. We got Elbiona in the house. Hey, Elbiona, thank you for being here.
Elbiona.
So next up, we got Roma Odunze. We kind of talked about him already in the Bears.
Yeah, loved it.
Great.
I loved it too.
Great.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, yeah,
would have looked good in a Falcons jersey.
Yeah.
The Bears
are again someone that they could use day one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The Bears arguably might have won the draft. I mean, obviously, once again, time will tell, but I liked the majority of the picks that I saw. Once again, my only question was punter in the fourth, but hell, he might be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And punters are weapons.
And speaking of a team, well, Their second pick was really good. Yeah, I know a team that could have used that second pick really and could have gotten them a lot higher. But we got the Minnesota with the pick JJ McCarthy at number 10. And at least they need a quarterback.
Well, and again, I think I said when we talked quarterbacks that JJ Bowe and Penix were all for me. Like the top 3 guys that went off the board, fine. But even Drake May for me fits in closer to the JJ, the Penix, and the Bo Nix. Like these guys would have been excellent day 2 picks.
Mm-hmm.
No matter where you take them, those guys would have been like, hell yeah, you got Bo Nix in the 2nd or 3rd or whatever. All of them going in the top 12 was just like, okay, guys, like what are we're pulling hammies out here. We're stretching so hard, you know.
What are we doing?
And now look, JJ does end up going somewhere where he doesn't have to start immediately. They have Sam Darnold there. He's going to an offense that is quarterback friendly and has with Jordan Addison and the other guy that, you know, might be pretty okay. Arguably the best receiver in the league in Jordan Jefferson. Like, not to mention, Detroit's former tight end,
Hawkinson,
TJ Hawkinson, yeah. former Iowa guy, because that's where all tight ends come from now, I guess.
Some reason, they can pump those tight ends out, pass catching tight ends, which is really, really weird.
Yeah, because who's throwing the ball? How are they catching these things? Like,
I
didn't know Iowa knew the forward pass existed.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dallas Turner falling to 17 is huge for them. Like, I think that Minnesota did a pretty decent job. And that's, I think that you could have gotten McCarthy in any other draft, day 2, but that's fine. They found their guy. They liked their guy, and they went and got him. So
they liked him. They need him.
Took one of the all-time greatest kickers in college football history at 203. Pretty big deal.
I still have them as a loser in this draft, and it's really not because of what they did here this year, because they believe in JJ McCarthy and they've got Sam Darnold. If they want to roll Darnold and let McCarthy develop and whatever. Obviously, I love Dallas Turner. I think the only reason that he kind of started to tumble, there was some word about his medical grades. And as long as he's healthy, though, he's amazing, obviously. And then they had no 2nd or 3rd round picks because of trading up for McCarthy. And the biggest reason why I say that they're a loser, next year in the 2025 draft, they have 3 picks, 1 first rounder and 2 5th rounders because of the stuff that they've done.
Yeah, that's a lot to trade for JJ McCarthy. I hope it works out. I mean, Sam Darnold's already there, so they'll probably roll with him first day.
Well, I think they should but here's my thing. All right, sorry, Normie, to cut you off, but just to get this thought out real quick. Bo Nix and Michael Penix offer something that I think that you could at least go, you know what? I'm going to take them in the first round because I do think between their arm talent, overall athleticism, again, do I think that Penix is like the most accurate passer in the draft? No. Can he be? Yeah. The dude can put it wherever he wants to sometimes. We've seen all that we've seen from Bo Nix. Like those guys to me say Drake May, high ceilings, like the floors may bottom out, but the ceilings are great. I just didn't see that when watching McCarthy, and nothing against the kid. He's a competitor. He's clearly a winner. He's lost like 3 games his entire life. And that speaks a lot, or can speak a lot. We've got Mahomes out there, who's the best quarterback maybe ever, who didn't win shit at Texas Tech. So it's not like that's
never had a winning record.
Josh Allen, who, there's plenty of guys out there who are doing great without winning. McCarthy is a winner. He seems like a good kid. He is pretty athletic, but that's the thing is he more athletic than Bo Nix or Penix? No. Mm-hmm. Is his arm anywhere close to what I think that Penix or Bo's are? No. So it's just for me to put so much stock in this kid. Like, I really think it was Harbaugh who was like, oh, I'd take him number 1. Like, I'd take him number 1. And then everybody went, kidding. Well, Harbaugh does know what he's talking about.
He loved him that much. He had an opportunity at 5.
That talk about the smoke show in the lying season, Normie. That was one that came out. Was like, are they going to trade Herbert and draft JJ? And I was like, they would be so dumb. And I just don't find Harbaugh a dumb coach. I think he's pretty damn good at his job. So that would have blown
for that trade, though.
No shit. Well, no shit. They could have probably traded into or kept a top 10 pick or and done that. Like so many quarterback needy teams. Well, if you're Minnesota and Minnesota goes, hey, we really want JJ McCarthy, and then Harbaugh goes, well, we want JJ McCarthy. How about y'all take Herbert? You think that Minnesota would have balked at that? Hell nah. Take my number 10 overall pick, man.
Yeah.
Or wherever they were before they traded to 10.
Gotten all the capital they gave up to go get him at 10. And plus more. I mean, it's Herbert. Yeah. He's one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. He just has been on a somewhat cursed team so far. But
one of the things too that I think a lot of people don't really think about when you're comparing the three, Nix, Penix, and McCarthy is Nix and Penix went through a lot of shit
and played a lot of ball.
They've been through a lot of adversity already. They know how to go through it and overcome it.
Yeah.
Like, especially Bo Nix. Like,
hey man, especially both of them. What
Penix injury wise, Bo Nix just being in just shitty situations.
Yeah. And then look what they flourished into. And that's the thing, again, like I will preach for as long as we do this show that when we are talking about these guys, I'm trying to be kind because they are children to me. Like, not, they're about to be millionaires and so they can go buy something, but but I don't want to like break these guys down. So there's nothing wrong with Penix or Bo as far as what they're capable of, or JJ what he's capable of. It's just again, value, and you're kind of blowing value on all of these guys, but I understand blowing the value on the other two. McCarthy still just trips me up, and he'll probably make me look like an idiot because again, Minnesota's a fantastic landing spot.
Oh yeah, I mean, Aaron Jones, running back, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, like he's got guys around him.
Yeah, I mean that's
experienced
the thing.
Guys.
Sometimes that happens, and it obviously didn't work out with Trey Lance, but it's not like when San Francisco moved up to take Trey that they were in a bad spot roster wise. Like any quarterback that would have landed there, I mean, and we see what happened with the 7th round pick they took the next year. Like a good landing spot is not about when you go. I listened to Shanahan say this to somebody earlier. It's not about when you go; it's about where you go. And JJ landed the only place in the top 15 picks that I thought would have allowed him to be successful. So there's a good chance that 2 years from now we're sitting here going like, oh, what a pick by Minnesota. Good thing they traded up to get JJ.
Or we'll be here saying like, I told you so.
I'm going to say I told you so. I feel, well, again, if you take, again, just value, man. If you take JJ McCarthy in the 2nd round, 2nd day, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, whatever you want, take him out of the 1st round and he becomes successul, then it's like, wow, what a fucking pick. But then go ahead.
Or no, I was going to say that I think though the reason this happened is I think Atlanta screwed everybody else up because everybody else was thinking, okay, I still had Bo going. I called the Bo pick. I still had him going, but I think even if he'd have went at 13, I don't think there would have been this like rush of like, oh crap, we got to get this guy now. Quarterbacks are the deal. Yeah, everyone wants a quarterback. Why I got to get a quarterback?
It was also interesting to me that Minnesota would feel so strongly. And again, I think what he does, he's going to point guard and distribute, and that's all what you really want in the offense that Minnesota runs. So I think that why he lands in a good spot is that he'll be successful with them, and that's fine. But I think I understand why Minnesota would target that particular like style of player. But you have Sam Darnold, and I know that you don't expect or want. That's the thing is like their roster is good enough that they shouldn't pick as high as they were picking even before they traded for the 10th pick. They probably roster-wise shouldn't pick that high again. So I guess that's kind of why I understand what Minnesota was doing. And I do think that Atlanta threw everything into whack or out of whack. But I think that both Bo and JJ were going to go where they went. Like I think Minnesota had their guy, and I think Bo had their guy, or Denver had their guy. But again, do you want to go back and talk more Penix stuff, or what? How do you feel? Like, do you want to talk about how Atlanta is still not good at drafting, or?
Yeah, they're still not good, and they screwed up the entire draft.
They blew it all up for all of us. You blew it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say all the other teams are like, "What the hell, Atlanta? Come on!" Did you get mad? Did you have to like do this because the Browns weren't picking in the first round this year? Like,
hey, no shit. Yeah, they had to do. They had to fill the Browns.
Like,
space.
Okay, we got to fill this void. Like, we got to throw this crazy pick out there.
Yeah. But I mean, we see it every year. We see dumb picks, we see reaches, and we see desperation for quarterbacks, which is just. I mean, at this point, like I think that we've proven. I mean, statistically, Kenyatta, you may know this off the top of your head. Like statistically, how many great quarterbacks come out of the first round? Like everybody trades up, and it's such a big deal to be the first quarterback taken. But like realistically, success. Now, obviously, the numbers are staggered because of how many other quarterbacks are taken after the first round. But like, I don't think that like the strategic picking of quarterbacks in the first round benefits you any more than taking somebody in the second or third. Like, I know that it's wild for Brady to be as good as he was, and it's wild for Brock to be as good as he is. But, I mean, I think a lot of really successful quarterbacks were taken post first draft, or first round.
I think out of not obviously this year's draft, and obviously not the previous year's draft, but your first round quarterbacks, I can't remember the exact number. I mean, it's double digits between those two drafts. And only one of them in Trevor Lawrence as a guaranteed starter or something like that, or maybe might be even the two drafts combined previous to that. And Centennial, you might have been the one that sent me that list. It's pretty insane. I mean, it is the least guaranteed position, and it's the one that gets taken and makes all the money. Like, and there's just a rush on them for everybody who's looking to move on from whoever they,
well, and it's
had previously.
It's 1,000% that you have to hit on that position. So I understand like the turnover, I understand the desire for one, but I think that the grading system, like just this year specifically, like realistically to me, and not to take away from the other guys that we've been talking about, not to take away from Drake May, because I do think that their ceilings can be high, which I meant to say earlier that I think that Penix, Bo, Drake May, their ceilings are significantly higher than where JJ's is. JJ's floor may be lower, but I just don't see. But that's neither here nor there. I really thought that this year, really, it was Caleb and Jaden Daniels that like really deserved to have like go in the first round, and specifically like high in the first round. I actually don't hate Denver's value for Bo at 12 or 13 or whichever one it was. Like I don't hate that, other than the fact that I think that plenty of other years, Bo and Penix and maybe May, but Bo, Penix, and JJ would have been pushed out of the first round just by evaluation. Like, had there been, like, say Shadur comes out, Quinn Ewers comes out, Jackson Dart maybe comes out, like some of these other guys, that like just think about how many guys that are in college right now that could have come out that would have pushed these guys into the second round. And so now next year, there's going to be other teams reaching for some of these guys that also would probably be pushed. It's again, value, but it's an overvalued position for a reason. Like, I mean, it should be. Like, you should be looking for your guy at the position. But I think San Francisco's done a pretty good job of showing that, like, now we don't have a ring to show for it other than NFC championships. But they have been one of the better teams when Jimmy Garoppolo was there specifically, because I think Brock's upper echelon, but you don't have to overvalue the quarterback position if you can build a roster around decent guys, like good decision makers.
No, I'm looking. I found a site that has all the draft history stuff. I'm not going to count next year or last year's because they only have one season under their belt, and like somebody like Bryce Young, who, I mean, can we really count that as a first season? Because he had nobody with him.
CJ, tons of people. They were just all wearing the other jersey.
Yeah. CJ Stroud, looks like he's going to be a solid pick.
Worked out.
Let's see. We had the jury's still out on Anthony Richardson. He showed flashes, but also he ended up getting hurt a lot.
Well, if that's the way he plays the rest of his career, like that's what we're going to see. I just don't see, because he, like we've talked about it before about some of the running quarterbacks out there. Like a lot of the guys, Lamar specifically, does a really good job of being an explosive runner and not taking a lot of damage. And Richardson did not take that page out of that playbook. Anyway. Go ahead, Normie.
And then in 22, Kenny Pickett was the only quarterback taken in the first round, and it was the 20th pick. It was a weird draft.
It was a weird draft, but that's the type of draft. I mean, because that was Levis's draft too. That was a few other guys that
Levis went. No, that was last year. Levis went.
Okay. Well, with some of these guys getting pushed, that's the thing about Pickett specific. Oh, Pickett was Malik Willis and those other, like some of the other guys that went that year, right?
Yeah, they went later on.
Right. So that's the type of stuff that I'm talking about that should have happened in this draft. Take Caleb, take Jaden. Drake May should have been somewhere around your 10, 12. Let JJ Penix and Bo fall into your second and third rounds. Like that draft happened. Because pre-draft stuff, they were like, all these quarterbacks are going to go first. And we were all kind of like, I don't know that they will. And then...
Wow. So in 22, the next quarterback was the 74th pick, and that was Desmond Ridder.
Yeah, Ridder. Yeah, so Ridder had first-round grades early in the draft season. Willis did. Pickett did. There was a handful of guys there that had first-round picks or first-round grades early on in the season, and then by the time the draft actually happened, they all got pushed way down, and that's realistically probably what should have happened with this class.
Yeah, Matt Corral. So 22 seemed like a better year. 21's the one. So Trevor Lawrence, yeah, we talked about him, but then Zach Williams, Trey Lance.
Well, and that was the first year that we did the show where we were doing quarterbacks, and I think Kenyatta and I both thought that class was going to be exceptional overall.
Justin Fields, Mac Jones.
Yeah, the only guaranteed starter next year out of that class is Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Davis Mills came out of that class too, which I feel kind of bad for because I think that he actually was outplaying people like Mac Jones, and obviously Lance has not played hardly.
Kyle Trask went later on in the third, or no, he was in late second, and then Kellen Mond went in the third.
I mean,
31-year-old Kellen Mond out of 7 years at Texas A&M.
And even
Davis Mills, yeah.
Even if Lawrence being a guaranteed starter out of that class, I'd say the jury is still out on who and what he is. Once again, a guy with all the tools, seems like a smart guy, this, that, or the other. But man, he can lose a game for you quick with his turnover sometimes. It is not ever a sure thing, but man, people will pay draft capital like it is.
But then you get to 2020, and 2020 is probably one of the better ones because you got Joe Burrow, Tua, Herbert,
worked out.
Sometimes it works.
Jordan Love.
That's why they do it.
Jordan Love, man, yeah, and I remember when that pick happened. Talk about surprises in the first round. Jordan Love.
Well, if he keeps playing like he played last year, then whatever the formula is that the Packers have, that's what everybody else needs to adopt.
No shit.
Jalen Hurts in the second round.
Yep. So far worked out. I mean, his year last year was super down compared to his year previous, but just what he can do with his legs and everything. And if he can repeat not last year, but the year previous, he was an injury away from being the MVP.
Yep.
I hope that he gets traded to another franchise.
And then like the miss, or fourth round is like Jacob Eason,
Who
James
spent a lot of time on a
Morgan.
bunch of different rosters, so it's not like he did what he was supposed to do at a 4th round pick. Like because I think did the Colts take him?
I think so.
He at least spent time on the Colts for a while, and
the Colts.
Yeah, spent some time on the roster, and I think that if you take a quarterback in the 4th and all you get is significant backup time, then I think that's a pick, or not a wasted pick.
And then James Morgan from Florida International.
Oh, everybody loves some James Morgan from Florida International.
And that was about it.
But yeah, so it's an unproven science. Like you can't trust it. And if you think you got your guy, then you think you got your guy. And I'll bring that up again when we talk about San Francisco. Like sometimes you just know that that's the guy you want, and I think that is worth as much as anything. If that's who you think that could be wrong, but could be so right.
Next up, we got the Jets, the 11th pick, Fashanu, but an offensive tackle, which is something they definitely needed.
That's as good as I could have done with it. It's probably right, but
yeah.
And you clearly need some sort of protection. You were set up for a Super Bowl run last year with a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he made it 3 plays. 4 plays. I love that they added Malachi Corley. This guy's been compared to Deebo Samuel this entire draft process, and I was really hoping that was the guy that we were going to try and add to our receiving room. Obviously, you take a Wisconsin running back because they play for Wisconsin, and all of them are good. And then
that Jordan Travis one.
That's what I was about to say. I love that Jordan Travis pick. Yeah,
in a 5th round, a Jordan Travis right there.
Rodgers is nearing the end of his career. You go ahead and put possibly a diamond in the rough to learn up underneath him. If it doesn't work out, not that big a deal. It's only a 5th round pick. A ton of them don't even make the final roster.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, take Jordan Travis in the 5th round. If he doesn't work out, then no big deal. But if he does work out, look what you did. You spent a 5th round pick to get your future starter. Not 8th for some guy who may not end up being a starter ever for your team.
The Packers got that dialed in, there are some people who are ready to start day one at the quarterback position, but I feel like starting day one, drafting them to start the rookie phenom thing. I'm talking out of my ass here. I could be dead wrong. It seems like it works out less often than it works out, It's just I think the game
it'll
is
work
so
out for a
faster.
year.
Yeah.
And then once teams get enough film on them and get their quirks and their tendencies, and then once they find it out, like it's like, okay, and then they do that every time, and then it's they're never a good thing. But
the game
is Aaron Rodgers
faster, and then I think development time for quarterback is important, or maybe more important than any other position on the football field. Like, they are processing a lot more information than anyone else, and they're having to see everything in like boom, 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 flash, because you got to look at the whole field. Protection, coverage, memorize the routes. Now there's option routes and stuff like that. There's you got to know the audibles for there's a lot that they have to. Not to mention, I don't know if you guys have ever heard some of the NFL plays that get called while they're getting read in their ears. It takes them 20 seconds to say the full length play name. That's where it starts, and then they have to start.
Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute, what formation were we even in? Like, whoa, slow down, bud. Throwing a lot of words at me right now. And that play clock is getting pretty low.
Have y'all ever seen the clip? I think it's from Hard Knocks, when Gruden's at Tampa and Chris Sims is a young guy and he keeps feeding him the play and Chris Sims couldn't get it. And of course, Gruden's like losing his shit. Have y'all ever seen that clip?
I don't recall it. No.
It just speaks to what you're talking about. Like Chris Sims, a pretty intelligent football mind, is out there like getting fed Gruden's now, and things have. Never mind. I don't even want to get into the ins and outs of play calling these days, but yeah, the verbiage is insane, and oftentimes it's saying the same thing that somebody else is saying, and just in a different way. So,
I actually have it.
Oh,
yeah, that's it.
who posted it?
X. Shift the Viper right.
Green right X.
Green right X. Shift the Viper right. 382 X stick looky.
Here we go, guys. Green right X. Shift the Viper right. 382 Y stick looky on one. Ready? X stick looky on one.
Let's go scatter to west right tight. F left. 372 Y stick Z spot.
Here we go. Scatter the west right tight. F left. 382 Y stick.
Christ. Just go scatter to west right tight. F left. 372 Y stick Z spot.
Here we go. Scattered. Say it again.
Scatter to west right tight. F left. 372 Y stick Z spot.
Here we go. Scattered to
West right tight.
scatter to west right tight. F left. 382.
372.
372.
Y stick
Y
Z
stick
spot.
Z spot. On one. Ready? Break.
Christ.
I'm the problem.
Making you nervous, aren't I?
No, I just couldn't spit it out.
Yeah, I don't envy them unless they're successful, in which case I super duper envy them. But well, I still envy them. They're making a lot of money, whether they're successful or not. As long as you get drafted, NFL money is good.
Oh yeah.
You can play practice squad your whole career, and it's not a bad career.
I know a couple of years ago I looked into that, and it was like I think rookie practice squad guys make like 125,000.
Yeah, and I think that's even gone up.
I'm sure with inflation and everything, it's gone up. All right, number 12. You got the Denver Broncos picking up Mr. Nix. I love it. I love it. I hope he does good. I think out of all the guys in the draft, I think Nix is the one I want to succeed the most.
I like Bo Nix a lot. I'll always pull for him.
The dude is nothing but heart and competitor and effort. And no matter how you felt about him from his time at Auburn as an Auburn fan or just a spectator outside of the Auburn family, you can't take away that the dude is effort and heart. And I like that he got out of whatever garbage situation was going on at Auburn, and I like that he ended up in somewhere because he always had this talent. He was always this physical. He always had this arm. He was always this accurate. It just nothing worked for him at Auburn, and that's another show worth of why that happened. And I love that they paired him with Troy Franklin. I like adding Audric Estime. It seems like, again, going back to just when you get in a situation where you know what you want, and I think that Sean Payton and the Broncos saw Bo and said, that's who we want. Mm-hmm. A lot of people compared his game to Drew Brees, which, and this is, a lot of people said that like Bo Nix is a big dinker and dunker type guy. Like that's what made him so good. I didn't see that from his tape. Like obviously he can and distributes well and all the things that he does, but the dude also can just flat rip it. So I don't know. A lot of people talking about all he does is throw it short. People said
even if that is all he does, if you're getting yards and getting first downs, what the hell does it matter?
Well, and especially if you're going to play for Drew or I almost said Drew Brees, Sean Payton. I mean, if you watch Drew Brees film, like he just moves the ball and does. I mean, the whole that's another show's worth of argument too. Just the dinking and dunking and the check down stuff. Like you just got to complete passes. You just got to throw it to the right person. And that's something that Bo Nix did at Oregon.
2nd and 6 is a lot better than 2nd and 10.
God dang straight, Normie. Like, I mean, I just don't understand why people have such a problem. Like, that's what you want to do.
Every play does not have to be a 30, 40-yard bomb.
Your goal is to be ahead of the chains at all times.
Yeah.
And if you can dump it off at a check down and it goes from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 6, well, guess what? You're ahead of the freaking chains. Let's keep going. And I think that Sean Payton knows that, and that's what I think that he sees a more athletic Drew Brees, because that's what a lot of people have said. I think that's probably what Sean sees, and so good. And then they paired him up with his buddy from Oregon. I think the Broncos had a fine draft. Like, I don't have them as winners or anything, but the Broncos aren't far off, guys. Like, I know what we have seen has kind of been garbage the last few years, but they're not far off. Like, realistically, they are not.
Well, they've come a long way since 2020 and having to start a wide receiver at quarterback.
Yes.
Especially when the NFL wouldn't let the coach play, which is still ridiculous to me. Like, ridiculous. Like, if the coach wants to play, let him play. It's a team. They should be able to play whoever the hell they want. If they want to sign me tomorrow, I should be able to go out there and play. Like, yeah. If you're watching, Denver people, I am in shape right now. No, I'm kidding. All right. Now, this next pick was a good one, too.
It's one of my favorite ones that happened. And I think this is where Atlanta screwed the draft up, because everything – go ahead. He got pushed and pushed. A top 5 player in the draft fell to 13, and Las Vegas went, fuck it. All right.
Yeah, he's the best guy on the board. Let's do it.
Well, that's also why I think that Denver, had they wanted to play, like, their organization might have had, a similar conversation. You might can get this guy in the second round, or pick whatever you want at 12 and then trade back into the first round with capital from this year and years to come. But if the Raiders wanted a quarterback, the run on quarterbacks happened. They didn't. They're all the ones that everybody was super high on, like the quote unquote sure things, are gone. So then they get the best player available in the draft. A lot of people say pound for pound, he was the most overall NFL ready, not to mention the talent, young, smart, fast, strong, does it all. That if he played a different position other than tight end, he would not have made it to 13.
Well, and a lot of people have such a problem with picking tight ends high, but I mean, this guy was like, he right now is going to come in and he's going to compete with Kittle and Kelsey and Andrews and Hawkinson and Laporta and all these guys, like all the names that we know at the tight end position. Like Brock's gonna, and Michael Mayer, right? In that, it's Mayer. The other tight end, they took a tight end last year too.
Last year, early in the second.
Michael Mayer.
Yeah, Mike Mayer. No, he's so now you have 2 really fantastic tight ends, because Brock Powers he's going to be good. Like, that guy's not a miss. Like I said earlier, I think the top 3 receivers and Bowers are can't miss. And the fact that the Raiders were just like, shit, yeah. I mean, if he's
not
here,
a need, but he's available.
Well, and then
that's value right there.
They follow it up with Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon, who was somebody that I was interested in as a 49ers fan. A lot of snaps at the interior offensive line for them. So, I mean, you're doing what you need to be doing.
So Raiders pass catchers right now. And I'm sorry, Kenyatta, I am including tight ends and pass catchers. I know how you.
Yeah, we're sorry. We're sorry about that.
We weren't doing the best trio of pass catchers. We're doing the best trio of wide receivers.
Look, we know that you would have let Brock Bowers fall past 13 probably, but just go ahead.
Wouldn't have been on your list.
Go ahead, Norman.
So, one.
Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Michael Gallup, Brock Bowers.
Yeah, I mean,
that's beyond solid.
And we're talking a team who did not stretch their hammies for a quarterback, knowing that Aiden O'Connell played pretty well last year and Gardner Minshew is maybe the best backup quarterback of all time. This is a team that can play out this season and see where they sit next year. O'Connell may be their guy. I don't know. But they definitely didn't stretch their asses for a guy that didn't need to be picked at 13.
Yeah.
Maybe the best value on the board after taking that guy at 13.
Yeah.
Well, Minshew played excellently, starting most of the year with the Colts last year, and has proven that he might beat O'Connell out for the job. Other than like some weird team collapses, they didn't make the playoff. They were pushing up until the last week of the season for a playoff spot in the AFC South. They just had a weird team fall apart in a couple of key games, but not one of them that they lost was it. The blame rested on Minshew. So I think they're in a pretty good spot. Will they win the Super Bowl next year? No.
Oh, God, no.
But I mean, they could wild card their way into a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not going to win the division.
No, I mean, they may not. That's the thing is like that division. It's going to be, I mean, Kansas City's going to win it. And then it's going to be a knife fight between the other three to get the second spot. So it's a far stretch, especially with some of the other teams in the AFC for them to pull out a wild card. But
I wouldn't, because of the AFC's depth and that division in and of itself being, pretty lock-tight after the number one spot, 2, 3, or 4 could be their second best team there. I wouldn't expect it or predict it, but it wouldn't shock me.
All right. Next up at 14, we got. Can anyone pronounce his name? I don't want to butcher it too much.
I learned it.
Latu.
No, it's 14.
Which
Talise Fuaga or Talise.
Talisa.
I learned it for our draft. Talisa.
Yeah.
I learned it for our draft, and I've already forgotten. I did research. I just haven't heard it enough said, so to commit it to memory.
So
yeah, Normie. I told Kent that I had him pulled up on my phone, so I could pronounce it correctly, and then he took him in the draft. So all my effort was for nothing.
Yeah, you were prepared though.
I tried.
You're going that extra mile for the show here.
I'm working my ass off, guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But they got him to kind of shore up that offensive line, but also ended up getting Kool-Aid in the second round.
Kool-Aid's one of my favorite picks in this draft. The fact that one of the top corners in the draft fell to 41. And I actually kind of blame Terry on Arnold. We talked about it during the draft that either of those guys could go as the number one corner in the draft. And I think that Terry on Arnold's size and speed and all the things that come with him and what he ended up doing last year at Alabama kind of pushed Kool-Aid back, and then Kool-Aid didn't run that great at the combine. So I think the Saints got a hell of a steal with Kool-Aid at 41.
And then
I just think I'm sorry. Go ahead, Normie. I was about to say I think they actually have, and Saints might be my most disliked team. There's a weird rivalry between them and the Rams. I'm just gonna blow past that. So I thought that they had a very good, solid draft.
They did, especially for what, they only had a first and second round and then 4 in the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like
that's the thing for the positions that they were in.
Yeah.
They did well with what they had. Obviously you are coming into a gunfight with a knife, with lots of picks, but once again, no day 2 picks, very backloaded, guys who may or may not make the final roster, but at least they were grabbing guys who have the potential to not just be filling holes, but positions of need.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they waited till the 5th round to draft Spencer Rattler.
Exactly. You have Spencer Rattler,
smart boys,
similar to the Jordan Travis pick. Is he going to be your future? A good chance, no. But if he is, then look at the value.
There is a chance.
Yeah, look at the value you got at 150. not 8.
Yep. Damn Falcons, man. Had to be this year's, this year's Browns. All right, number 15, we got Latu.
And I love the pick. I love both of their first picks. I think really the Colts weren't hurting at the defensive front either. So this just the rich get richer as far as the front goes. Then you give another target for your young receiver. Anthony Gold at 142 from Oregon State. A lot of people love that. He's a smaller, quick guy. Oh, shit, I'm sitting here looking at the list, and my favorite pick in the draft.
Jalen Simpson.
Yeah, 164. You get a guy that's going to come in and be able to contribute in the back end of the defense, and maybe until he add some weight on. I know all of you read my Auburn draft prospect article at warblogo.com.
Multiple times.
I know that you did. But Jalen Simpson's one of my favorite. Well, you had to. But Jalen Simpson's one of my favorite players in the draft, not just from Auburn. I just he's a ball hawk. He knows where the ball is at all times. He's most of the time around the play. He played multiple positions at Auburn. Guy can play in the slot. Guy can play in the deep safety. Guy can play in the box if you need be. He's small but not scared of bigger players. Like I think that Simpson at 164, there's a good chance that you ended up with somebody who can eventually be your starting safety. And if not, you're going to have a depth player for a long time who will definitely contribute on special teams because he can be a dog. So yeah, the Colts can be a winner for me because I love the Latu pick. Ballard, there's a video that leaked today about Ballard sitting there going, I can't believe that the best pass rusher in the draft dropped to 15 and they got him. Adonai Mitchell was projected in the top or in the back end of the first round from 20 back. So got him at 52. Clearly add some offensive line help. And I think the Colts did a really good job.
I've got them as my second biggest winner to the Bears on my list. I thought that they did a really good job. I mean, they hit it. Now, obviously, some of these guys can't pan out or may not pan out. I don't know, but they got all the positions of need with names that, like Santana was just saying, people did not expect to see that late because there was rushes on other positions. Now, it could have just been fortunate for them that they didn't need some of those other positions, so they got to wait and be patient and do what they did.
I know a team that didn't do that, but continue.
Like I know that they traded. And I don't know. They did good work. I was very impressed. But for the most part, if Anthony Richardson can pan out, Ballard has done an excellent job his tenure with the Colts of generally making the right moves, putting the right talent in the right places. It's just that is one of the teams that has been a bit snake bitten over basically since Andrew Luck's retirement, that the quarterbacks either can't stay healthy or don't pan out, or they're over the hill. Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, but I don't know. This could
Joe
work.
Flacco.
Yeah, I mean this could work.
Mm-mm-mm.
They better teach Anthony Richardson to get his ass down, though.
Yeah, they definitely need to do that. Next up at 16, we have Byron Murphy, the second.
This is another one of my winners, which for the third consecutive year, I thought that Seattle did a fantastic job, which sucks because unlike the Cardinals, who are lovable dummies in my division, Seattle is a legit rival, and they continue to build rosters well there. Byron Murphy, it's not like they were hurting in the interior over there. So add to that, Christian Haynes, I've seen nothing but positive things from that. My favorite picks out of this are obviously, again, did either of you or everybody listening read my Auburn draft prospect article on warblogo.com? DJ James, I actually had projected higher than Nehemiah Pritchett, going back to earlier when I said that there are some really cool names in this draft. Nehemiah Pritchett is a really cool name. That Seattle has starters at corner. These guys are going to play. I mean, both of them can play in the slot. Either of them can play on the outside. So those were 2 late round gets that I thought were good for them, I guess. If we're going to be positive about Seattle, then good for them.
Yeah, I think that they did really good. Yeah, I also have them on my winners list, Santana. And then they just, it's their patience in not rushing to go get, a QB or a flashy weapon or anything like that. They just, because, there's offensive, defensively 22 starters, and then injuries happen and such like that. So get depth there. They're willing to keep riding with Geno. Now, the interesting thing about this is, like Santana was saying, I'd say 3 years basically very good grade drafts, A drafts, but this will be the first year that they go put it on the field without Pete Carroll because of a very odd situation. So that'll be the most interesting thing to watch for them, rather than like, will all this pay off?
Mm-hmm.
Because it might not be any of these players' fault. It could be.
Yeah, it could be coaching. Yeah, that was a weird situation.
And just to me, and obviously I don't live anywhere, like quite literally the opposite side of the country from them, but it just seemed unexpected. Like,
Yeah,
and kind of out of the blue for a guy who's done mostly nothing but win and always be playoff competitive. Has a Super Bowl, should have won,
should have had 2 Super Bowls.
Hand the damn ball off.
Yeah, that.
But yeah, I mean, the Geno plays well enough. Talking about another thing that Santana has already mentioned, going back to if you've got adequate quarter play. Now, I think that Brock Purdy is better than adequate quarterback play. In every statistical measure, he was a top 5 guy this year. Just because he's Mr. Irrelevant, his size, the fact that I don't know, doesn't matter. I don't know why he gets the game manager tag. Doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there. But build a good roster around somebody who can play adequate, and you're dangerous. You're competitive. So you don't have to make a splash pick at QB.
Well, even if he is a game manager, like, again, like, what does that matter if he's getting the ball to these players, like,
and that's the thing, I would
his guys, like, why is there such a negative connotation on game manager?
I don't know.
Like, I don't really understand it. Like, and then it goes to those, oh, well, they only dink and dunk, and like, are they winning? Like, that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
We're still on Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it goes back to what I was saying about you can find success around a quarterback who may not be a quote unquote superstar or game changer if you build the roster around. Now, what Seattle has done for themselves, very similarly to what San Francisco had done, or before the Rams acquired Stafford, what the Rams had done, you give yourself the opportunity that, yeah, Geno's not going to be the guy forever. But guess what? Like, they're going to be in a position where they can, because their roster is going to be so filled out, they're going to have the opportunity when they want a guy. They're going to have to be very much like San Francisco. They're going to have the opportunity to move up because it's going to be a luxury. The quarterback position is going to be a luxury to take because your defensive backfield is really deep because of the last 3 drafts. Your defensive front is really deep because of the last 3 drafts. Your offensive weapons on the outside and in the backfield are deep because of your last 3 drafts. Your offensive line are all extremely young and talented. So maybe not next year, maybe not the year after that, but soon they're going to be able to go, all right, well, we're going to try and move up into the top 5 to take the guy that we really want, So
you still got a killer running back. I love Kenneth Walker.
Well, and Cat out of A&M, like, they've got a stable of guys over there. Like, that offensive line is really young and really talented. They've taken tackles over the past few drafts. They've taken starting corners and safeties out of the past few drafts. They just cleared up a lot of cap space by getting rid of a few guys. Jamal Adams and a few others.
Mm.
Seattle's unfortunately doing.
They're poised for a good future.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shit.
Mm-mm. Well, alrighty, we've been going about close to 2 hours already. We're about halfway through. Think we should pick up next week with the last 16.
That's fine with me. Yeah, 2-hour show would for our viewer, we generally try to keep it to an hour. We always end up going over because it's just fun to talk ball with these folks.
I was going to say at this point, it's more we try and keep it around 2.
Yeah, no, it's definitely become more like a 2-hour show, but it is. The night is getting late, and I'm sure that anybody who's still watching us probably also wants to go to bed.
Yep.
So we'll just pick it up at actually very exciting. Or not very exciting. I'm sorry, I got my pick mixed up.
Close though.
I'm
That's
close.
That's the one I'm pretty stoked about too.
I'm only 2 away.
Well, I actually went away because we've already talked about Minnesota.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah, we've already done Minnesota, so we'll start off at 18.
Yeah, we can start at 18 with the St. Louis Rams. Oh, remember the St. Louis time?
Yeah.
Oh,
I do. That's where I fell in love. That's where they were when I became an NFL fan. But I was also pretty psyched about the move to LA because all I'd heard is you don't want to go to a game in St. Louis. Although the move to LA, I've heard
you don't want to go to SoFi.
It's a bit of a rough crowd, so I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna go one day.
Yeah, the goal is I want to be able to somehow, like, whenever we see a schedule come out where it's like San Francisco plays in LA and then somewhere else the next week, and then LA plays in San Francisco, we're going to take a 3-week bender in California and go see our teams and they play each other in their respective stadiums.
I don't know if I can do a 3-week bender in LA unless we hire a private helicopter or a professional driver.
And also, for some way, somebody hits the lottery or.
Oh yeah, no, this is going to be like sell an organ type situation.
Yeah. I'm sure when that happens, we'll probably have where you can sell organs and things.
Oh yeah, like I'm about to Google it right now.
Donate there. No, not us. We need that money.
Yeah.
Donate.
No, I want to see my football team play another football team. Okay. Jeez.
Yeah. With my friends.
With my friends.
All right, boys. So yeah, we'll pick up with the at 18 next week and finish off that finish off the draft. But yeah, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up or smash it or do whatever you want to with it. As long as there's physical contact with it.
And subscribe. We're here pretty much every Thursday.
Every Thursday, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. We usually go about 2 hours. And it's 2 hours packed of fun and also messing with each other.
and Natty Light.
And Natty Lights. Exactly.
Sponsor us, Natural Light, you beautiful bastards.
Well, maybe the tea company that I drink, maybe they'll sponsor us one day. Get sponsored by Yogi Tea.
Hey, both.
We'll take them all. We'll give you all the reads, guys.
Well, maybe Yogi's trying to like get into that like sports market. So
I've heard. There's whisperings.
There are whispers and rumbles. I've talked to people already. So maybe in the future, distant future, but future.
I've been in contact with a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy whose cousin knows a guy who had a dog that he adopted from another guy. So it's coming.
Who stocks it on a shelf at a Publix and talk to the delivery guy. And
I've always known you guys had your fingers in everything, but wow, I didn't know that we were that close.
We are connected here, brothers.
Roots run deep. All right, hit the subscribe button. And when you're hitting that subscribe button, hit the bell so you'll get notified every time we go live. And I think that's it. So we all see y'all later.
Later, guys.